So we are on another overnight camp, and I'll be honest, I've made a bit of a miscalculation. So in my last video I asked for suggestions on what we should do next, and it was pretty much a tie between a hot tent and the cot tent. So the temperature actually looked pretty mild. We're at the warmest part of the day, and I think it's at like -11 or -12. So that normally means that the overnight temperature is going to be pretty cold. I'm going to guess and say like -17, maybe lower. So we'll be heading down a trail today that looks like it hasn't been used for some time. It's a little bit overgrown, so it should be fun getting through there. Hopefully there's not going to be too many down trees, but we'll get through it and get to the other end. I've got a camping spot in mind, somewhere I haven't been for a while, so that'll be kind of exciting. I'm looking on the ground as well for a lot of animal tracks, and there's quite a few animals moving around. Actually looked like a large cat back there that I spotted some prints, so that was kind of interesting. Maybe a cougar, something like that. So let's jump in the machine, let's head down the trail and see what we come across. Hopefully a grouse. Hopefully. Come on, Eds. So we're just doing a little bit of exploring, and I just turned off one of the trails to see where it led, and discovered this old, looks like a trapper's cabin. That's pretty fun. All the years I've been coming down here, I've never actually noticed that. So it's kind of a nice spot too. Whoever built it obviously knew the area quite well. Surrounded by some very nice pine trees. They do look a little bit shaky, and I probably wouldn't camp here because if the wind does kick up, it's pretty open that side. I'm sure the wind would come through pretty easy. So not a great spot, but let's take a look around the old trapper's cabin, see what's left behind. So as you can see, the roof's actually caved in. And it's a pretty, it's a board construction. So I don't think it's that old. Obviously it's old enough to have fallen down. And this looks like there was a floor in it at some time. Esme, careful. Hey, come on. And what's under there? But it looks like it leads down to, I know there's a creek down there. So yeah, that's a really good find. Might be worth coming back with a metal detector or something similar. So we finally arrived at the campsite. The soil's not too deep, so that's good kind of 6 to 8 inches, I guess. It's a nice stand of pine trees, and we're away from any deadfall or anything like that. So should be good. Just looking at the footprints, looks like there's a moose been through as well. There's lots of willow, which they really like to munch on the tips of the willow. So that's probably why he or she's been down this way. But it's so a beautiful day, blue skies, sun shining. Sun will move around to behind me, and that's why I picked the spot, so I'll have a nice sunset. And we are a little exposed, so hopefully it's not going to get too windy. Is Esme? Do you want to drive, Esme? So I do have a new piece of equipment to show you today, and this is the TETON Celsius XL sleeping bag. So this is the -32 Celsius version, or the -25 Fahrenheit. I wanted to try something different rather than my big sleeping bag, my -45. This is about half the size, believe it or not. Whether it's going to be half as warm, I hope not. So we're going to try it. I don't think the temperature is going to dip below -20 tonight. So I always allow for about 10 degrees. So if the bag says -30, I think it's probably going to be comfortable at -20. I think the extremities of those temperature ranges, you can survive, but you're going to be cold. So I'm going to unpack this now and we can take a quick look at it. It does come with this compression sack. I didn't really suck it in too much. To give you an idea of the size, it's not really a backpacking sleeping bag, but then again it's not that much bigger than, say, the Canadian military sleeping bag or the MSS, the US version. Those sleeping bags are rated for lower temperatures, or the Canadian one is. I have tried the MSS at lower temperatures and I actually found it quite lacking. So let's unpack this fully and we'll take a look at it. And I picked a nice green colour. So the sleeping bag is a square-footed sleeping bag. So Esme can still sleep in the bottom of it. It should be quite comfortable. It does have a zip baffle. Has this nylon type shell. And does have a shoulder baffle too. And a small hood that you can pull in with a drawstring. That's the little logo. It says -25, so I guess that's Fahrenheit. Doesn't seem that thick, but we'll see. Like I say, I do have a backup sleeping bag with me that I can double up. But I'm no longer sleeping in mummy style sleeping bags if I can help it. The zipper looks pretty good. Haven't tried this out yet, but I'm kind of looking forward to it. Price for this sleeping bag I think was just over $100 Canadian. I'll put all the prices as usual in the bottom, which if it works represents actually pretty good value. It's something that you could definitely do on a budget. This would be great for things like car camping for sure. You can zip two of them together if you get a left and a right, so if you're a couple then you can actually make it into one big sleeping bag. So I'm gonna put Esme's blanket on top and just watch how quickly she jumps in. Good girl. What do you think? What do you think? Straight in. I think that has the Esme seal of approval. So this time I am going to peg down the Elite Rainfly, just in case the wind kicks up. that seems to have brightened up quite a bit from earlier. I think the temperature has probably risen to about -5 because we're in the direct sunlight now, so that's kind of nice. But in the bush, it is still pretty cold. I would say it's at least -8, -9. Just going for a quick walk. Strange, even though Esme can go wherever she wants, even out in the bush here, whenever you mention the word walk, she goes crazy. So I've just found this dead standing. Looks like a pine. It's pretty tall. But I think I'm going to drop that. It's going to be better the wood than that's what's stacked up. I can cut my big pieces and maybe stack it, buck it up and stack it in the bush there in case I ever come back this way. Yeah, happens. So what I think I might do is just let this fire establish itself, maybe feed in the other logs, or maybe stack them behind and see how that goes. It's going to be very nice. So there is some clouds over in the west over there, but the rest of the sky seems clear, so we may get some really good stars tonight. But we'll see. You never can tell. I think the forecast is for kind of cloudy patches, but the weather is so changeable. We'll find out in a little while. So I'm going to watch the fire for a little while and enjoy the heat. So I brought a couple of beers with me this time around. This is the Red Racer IPA. This is from Surrey in BC. It's actually quite nice, very hoppy, if you like hoppy beers. It is a little cold, that's my own fault. Anyway, cheers. So I decided just to put one log at the back and then have two logs coming in, like a Siberian log fire. Probably two's not enough, but I've got a stack of wood too, so I can just kind of fill in the spaces. I think I'll make good use of those logs without too much effort. So yeah, it's throwing off some heat right now, so we're feeling pretty comfortable. The temperature's down to, I think, like -9, something like that. Let's have a check. Okay, so we're down to -10. My pocket is +6. So the sun is still up. The temperature is going to start to sink in the next half an hour or so. So -10, and we'll see where it gets to tonight. Looking forward to it. Test out that new sleeping bag. The time is 10 to 5, so not super late, but obviously the sun's gone down. Doesn't really show on the camera, I don't think, but it's starting to get a little bit darker. The temperature is it's -15.6, and in my pocket it's 13 degrees. So got a warm pocket. So just to put that into perspective, -15.5. Your freezer at home, the ideal temperature is -18. So I'm 2.5 Celsius degrees away from the inside of your freezer at home. So imagine you put things in your freezer, how long does it take to freeze? Not very long. So this is the ambient temperature where I currently am. Like once you get below -30, like -35, that gets cold. Below -40, which I've experienced a couple of times, that gets weird. I've been down to -44 as a static temperature, so no wind chill, just like straight cold, -44 Celsius, and that's kind of odd. Things behave differently. Things break, become brittle and shatter. Plastics become very difficult. It's very different. You have to be very careful at that sort of temperature. You can't expose skin for very long. Actually, once you get down to like -30, the fluid in your eyes starts to freeze, and you have to blink constantly to break the crystals, because they start to it goes fuzzy in your eyes. You have to blink, and it's because your tears are starting to freeze. But people have survived at these temperatures for a very long time, and I think it's all about preparation. If you were going to spend the night in your freezer, what would you bring with you? For those people that actually asked for a cot tent, then we did the cot tent thing. For those people that asked for a hot tent, next video I'll do completely a hot tent. I just felt this time around the cot tent would be the better option. Like I said earlier, I think I made a mistake because this is much colder than I expected. We're into the grey zone, which is like -20, where I think if you don't have the right stuff, you could get into trouble. I could actually go down to like -30 and I'd be fine. Even beyond that, I'd just light a big fire and I'd be fine. But I've got enough gear. If static temperature went down to -30, I'd be fine. So I'm very safe, but it's colder than I expected. So I'm going to hang out by the fire for a little bit longer. Esme's already in bed. I'm going to stay out and see if I can see some stars. But hopefully I'll get back to you before we fall asleep in the sleeping bag, and I'll give you some feedback about how warm it is. I'm very curious myself. So I'll see you hopefully in the sleeping bag. If not, I'll see you in the morning. Well, good morning everyone. We had a pretty pleasant night. Unfortunately, we had a gear mishap where the zip on the TETON sleeping bag blew apart. So we were open to atmosphere all night. But it wasn't too bad. I think the temperature went down to about -18. Let's have a quick look. So the coldest it went to -18.1. And we are currently sat at -8. So not too bad. Esme was very warm and she kept my feet warm, which was good. So we're actually very comfortable despite the zip giving way, which I'm kind of disappointed about. I've got to figure out what happened. But if the temperature was pretty close to like -20, -25, that could have been a major problem. So I'm going to have to look into why that happened and try and figure out. Maybe I'll replace the zip, or I might even just return the sleeping bag and get another one. I'm not quite sure yet. But the day is pretty grey actually. Lots of cloud. Didn't see any stars last night because of the cloud cover. And the fire actually did quite well. So we're getting out the comfy sleeping bag pretty soon, get the fire going, have some breakfast, and we'll start packing up all the gear. But it was very pleasant overnight. So we're all packed up, ready to head for home. A little bit of a trek to get back to the truck and load up, and I'll be home probably in about 4 hours from now. And until next time, take care. Come on, let's go. So I hope you enjoyed coming out with Esme and I on our little adventure. Despite the little mishap with the sleeping bag, we had a great time. We're very much looking forward to January and February, where we can get out and do some deep winter camping. I hope you'll stick around and join us for that. So until next time, take care. And if you like any of the gear that I use in my videos, check out the link in my description to my Amazon store, where you'll find all the products listed. And as always, thank you very much for watching. If you like my videos, leave me a comment, maybe a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe.